What's up, guys? It's your man Donovan Sharp, and welcome to this edition of Tea with Tallulah. My apologies, guys. I straight up overslept. I'm still recovering from Devin and I are both still recovering from our Miami trip. I was telling you, Tallulah, off the air that when we get back from Miami, it's almost like we have jet lag because of the late nights, but it was totally worth it. Shout out to Myron, Fresh, Aaron Clary, Rolo Tomasi, and of course the great and powerful Tea with Tallulah. Tommy, my apologies, guys. So Tallulah, how are you today? How are you feeling?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. So have you ever been to Miami? Like, have you ever visited the Fresh and Fit studio, or have you not yet?
Yeah, so I have been to Miami many years ago. Was not my favorite place, if I'm honest. Haven't yet. Haven't yet visited Fresh and Fit, but obviously, you know, been in touch with Myron quite a bit, and yourself. Maybe visiting there in the future. We will see. But yeah, at the moment, I haven't been to Miami for a long time.
Good. I will tell you this. It's much better than it used to be. I actually had I was gonna buy a rental property down in Miami years and years ago, but I decided not to because it was actually right before the housing bubble, so I didn't want to have anything to do with it at that point. And I was living in St. Petersburg, actually on Treasure Island, if I'm not mistaken. My ex-wife and I bought a little bungalow right there on 125th Street. It was like 2 blocks from the beach. It was a dream come true. It really, really was. So, but yeah, hopefully you can make the CME, and which is going to be held in Miami. I'm very much looking forward to meeting you and your guy if you guys can make it.
Yeah, great. I hope I can make it, and if I can, it will be great to see you, see Dev, see all the girls, and you know, most of all, just a massive thanks to Donovan's subscribers. You've been such a support to my new channel, so I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely, and we appreciate you too. Let me. How many subscribers are you up to, by the way?
800, 850, something like that,
Okay,
I believe.
All right. Okay, well, listen, let's get her to 1,000 subscribers, guys. Get her to 1,000 subscribers so we can get her nice and monetized. DJ Berserk with the $5 super chat says, I'm just getting to work, and I'm here ready to start off my day with some toxic masculinity. Appreciate that very, very much. Hang on a second. I'm actually getting a memo here. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. Oh, look at this. Okay, so shout out to Dre Raven. Shout out to Dre Raven, who is the first CME attendee. Yes, Dre Raven has purchased the very first CME ticket. So we're very much looking forward to having him there. So shout out to Dre Raven. J Billy's 11 says Tallulah is the best. Okay, so what we're gonna do today, Tallulah, is we're going to watch a few TikTok videos. And now let me ask you this before we get into this. Have you ever seen women talk about red flags in dating, or is that something that you tend to stay away from for the most part?
Yeah, I've seen it a lot and heard it a lot, especially with the recent documentary on Netflix, the Tinder Swindler.
Yes. Shout out to Simon Live. What are your thoughts on that? Because that girl, Celia Fielhoy, now she's not British, but I forgot where she's from. It's from close by. What are your thoughts on that? On what happened to her?
She's not British, but she actually lives in London.
Right.
Yeah, so at the time that this was going on, I believe that Celia and a couple of the other girls were, I think they were around 26, 27.
Yeah.
They're now in their early 30s, I believe. And I'll be honest, when I watched it, it actually really scared me for a few days. I couldn't stop thinking about it, because it's one of those, this is real, this is going on. And right. I think, a lot of it was for me quite frightening. But after kind of a week or so and really sort of thinking this over and thinking about the kind of red pill side of it,
yeah.
It actually is shows that, I mean, for me, this Simon Levy was not good looking whatsoever. He's not my type.
No, he's not.
But you see, it shows though that it was all about game, and it was all about frame. Not once did he enter their world; they all entered his world.
Right.
And he wasn't the best looking guy at all.
No.
And he still got these women because he had next level game, right?
That's
I know what he did was absolutely awful, and those girls were victims, but this is just sort of stating the facts. And he also, so I see that as something, but it also made me think about women and how we are and how our nature is. And, you know, what he has done is not okay. But if you think about your time in America tonight, my time in the UK tonight, how many millions of billions of women are either out for dinner with a guy that they're not really into,
there you go,
or they are, hanging out on OnlyFans, getting money from a pay pig. I would say that probably approximately in the next 2 to 3 hours, there is going to be triple, if not quadruple, what was just taken off of those girls from women taking it from men.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just an observation, but I'll be honest, it did pretty scare me.
Tallulah, listen, you took the words right out of my mouth. And listen, man, what Simon Levive did was absolutely wrong. You know, no question about it. You shouldn't be scamming people. But they made a Netflix documentary about this guy. Okay, what this really comes down to is it's a few things. Celia, she ran up on a pro. It's not like, and a lot of people are like, oh my God, how could she be so stupid? There was a little bit of naivety on her part, but by the same token, he had all the marks in the beginning. He had a staff. He had a private jet. I remember one of the women said that when they sat down at a restaurant, the entire restaurant greeted them. Wow. He said his dad was the famous king of diamonds, so that made him the prince of diamonds. There was everything, like his Instagram, everything was airtight. There was no question in their minds, because I'm gonna tell you what, if I were a woman, I would have bought into it too, because she ran up on a pro. However, where Celia goes horribly wrong is assuming that a man of that dude's net worth actually wants to be with her. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Celia, but a man who's worth what Simon Levive was worth, he has access to younger, hotter, more compliant women than Celia. Celia is a decent looking woman, but she's not, dude, the girl on the screen right now, she looks better than Celia. And so this actually, Simon plays into these women's delusions. Celia knows she's not the greatest looking girl in the world, but she is attractive enough. And it never occurred to her to say, wait a minute, this guy Simon could have any girl he wants in the world. He's worth billions of dollars. He's got a private jet. He's got money. He's got money he can burn. Why is he choosing me? And delusional women who actually believe that they deserve guys like Simon, those are the women that Simon Levive preys on, because these are women who have an overinflated sense of self-worth. Well, of course I deserve a billionaire. I'm Celia. Here's another thing, and you hit this on the head. For every woman, Tallulah, who complains about a guy who got over it, oh, well, he screwed me over, he cheated on me, he left me for his ex-girlfriend, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For every one time a girl gets screwed over by a guy, she has done the same to dozens of men. Dozens of men. Women cannot stand it when they do not have a decided advantage in the dating market. So they run all these gambits and games on a bunch of guys, and it's just like you said, Tallulah. 30% of women on that survey admitted to being out with a guy they had no sexual interest in for the explicit purpose of getting fed for free. Nobody does anything to these women. Nobody chastises them or anything. Yet when a guy flips the script and does it to women like the Dine and Dash dater, he gets jail time. So I'm not saying that what Simon did was right, because what he did was wrong. But by the same token, I don't feel sorry for these women, because, and I'm not a karma guy at all, but I'm not going to feel sorry for them, because I can promise you all three of those women who got played by Simon Levive have done it to, between those three, a collective hundreds of men. And they're not on Netflix complaining about how, think about this, Tallulah. What Simon did this one time, or many times, is what women have been doing for ages now. They present themselves as someone they're not to get resources and sex and everything else, only to find out that she's not the person that we thought she was. Simon did the same thing. He led these women to believe that he was a certain person when it turned out that he wasn't. Surprise, surprise. And now they're on Netflix complaining. They've got, I think they've got like a GoFundMe, and they've collected all of these thousands of dollars. Look, man, cry me a river. I'll get your last thoughts on that. Go ahead.
I've got to disagree with some of what you said.
Okay, let's do it.
I think Celia was really beautiful, and I think that the other women were as well. I mean, they were only 25, 26 when they met him.
Yeah.
You know, now they're kind of early 30s, but you know, they I think they were young, attractive women. I personally think, like, if I'm honest, I think those girls were better looking than him by far.
I agree with that.
He's not my type. He's not my type. I absolutely agree, you know, with everything we've said about, you know, women, you know, have agency to be able to do that all the time to men. Like I said, in the next sort of couple of hours, there'll be billions of pounds shed out, like pay pigs on OnlyFans, men at dinners, people flying women out or whatever, you know, that I agree with that. And yeah, I mean, and he didn't get jail time this time. He didn't actually get jail time. He got caught under a fake name and got 5 months for it, but he never got jail for what he actually did. That's what's scary about it, right? He didn't get any jail time, even though American Express were onto him.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, and I think he's on, if I'm not mistaken, I think he might be on Interpol's most wanted list. I'll have to fact check and double check that, but yeah, they're definitely after him for sure. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was like, whoa, okay. Yeah. I didn't realize.
Oh yeah, he absolutely is wanted. He absolutely is wanted by the dude. I mean, he's wanted in several, and now that Netflix has sort of shown a light on his exploits all around the world, now he has now broken laws all around the world. So they're most definitely going to try to get their pound of flesh back from Mr. Live. What can women do, Tallulah, just to put a bow on this? What can women do to avoid becoming a victim of a guy with that kind of game? Because what he did was nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy where these, you know, he did have next level game and these women fell in love with him by far. I think the red flag there was definitely, you know, how much attention he paid in the first 24 hours. He took her on a jet in the first 24 hours of knowing her. That's a red flag. Yep. And most certainly that, you know, a man of that status, for example, what would have you know, rang home to me with regards to his status is just in a restaurant where everyone knew him. That was all part of the scam, right? Man, yeah. And that is what women are attracted to. Women are attracted to status. Yep. They're attracted to status more than money sometimes.
I agree.
And definitely more than looks, right?
Yes.
So, is men of that status, men who have that money, men who, you know, he was kind of a silver spoon baby, actually. Yeah. Even those guys, they're always going to have like more than one woman. And it's really hard as a woman not to get caught up in the vulnerabilities of that and believing everything he's telling you. Is actually maybe believe his actions as well as what he's saying.
Right. As far as the way Celia looks, I mean, I suppose we can. I mean, you're a woman, I'm a man. I suppose we can disagree on her sexual market value, but I think one thing that cannot be denied is, regardless of how attractive or unattractive you think Celia is or was, we both know that if Simon Live really was who he said he was, he could do much better than Celia. She was decent looking, but guys who run in those circles, they have much better looking women around them, as was noted on his Instagram. So my advice to the ladies would be, hey, look, if a guy seems too good to be true, that's where you have to really take a real assessment of your sexual market value.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and girls say, well, I deserve this and that and the third. Then when the guy that they actually believe they deserve comes and shows them love bomb them with all this attention, never once did Celia think, oh my God, why is this guy picking me? She never asked herself that. Yeah, you got to be self-confident and all that. But in the end, Tallulah, people know what they deserve.
No, I hear you. That's really true, actually, is that a lot of women, I'd say 90% of women don't, even more, 95% of women don't look at what their sexual market value
Yeah.
actually is and the reality of it. And that's like with and without things like, taking care of themselves,
Yes.
like whether that be makeup, whether that be aesthetics, whether that be all these different things, is actually looking at like the raw truth of that.
No, I agree. I agree. Okay, well said. I didn't expect to go into that territory, but I think, especially because it happened there in London, I figured I'd get your take. So what we're gonna do here, Tallulah, is I've got 4 short TikTok videos. These are all TikTok videos of women talking about red flags in men when dating. So let me. I'm gonna. There we are.
Red flags when dating. Welcome to the circus. Take a seat. When they're really weird about their
Is that too loud for you, or can you hear that just fine?
It is pretty loud, but it's okay.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. Here we go.
phone, like if they're constantly like turning their phone away from you, like damn, I wasn't even looking, but what are you hiding? 2, when they're overly cocky, when they try to act like above everyone else and care so much about what other people think. It's because they're deeply insecure. It will most likely gaslight you. So run. 3, when they get attached too quick and start calling you pet names really early on, like babe or baby. These ones are the psychos. I once had a guy tell me he loved me 2 weeks into talking.
Hey.
And it was the most psychotic thing ever. Run. Respectfully. Red flags when dating. Welcome to the circus.
Okay, so we just watched the whole
Wow.
thing. Now we're gonna break it down bit by bit. So she says, "Red flags in dating. Welcome to the circus."
Take a
look,
seat.
look. You can tell that this woman she has a cockiness about her. She's overconfident and she's condescending. Give me your initial thoughts on this particular video.
No, this is a who hurt you moment.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. She's not confident.
okay.
Yeah.
So she's not confident at all.
I don't know if Deb's in the studio, but she's not confident. Like Deb will probably vouch for that, right? She is she's definitely been hurt. That's why she's angry.
Okay.
You see that? You like, even though she's like, she's like anger behind her. Where she was saying, like, oh, he's arrogant. I personally think that's probably because he doesn't care.
Yes.
He just doesn't care. That doesn't mean that he's being arrogant. It just means he's not fully got his whole entire life invested in what she thinks. And she brought up the funniest one there was when she said attached, because he calls you babe. Like, that's not being attached. That's not a guy who's attached to you if they call you babe.
Yeah.
That's not any kind of attachment whatsoever.
I'll tell you what, if the guy, it really depends on the guy. If it's a guy she's really attracted to or a high value guy, if he calls her babe after the first date, in her mind, that's not a red flag.
Oh, yeah. Again, that's kind of playing into what we were talking about before, right? This is how, like, women are gullible. We are gullible.
This is something, I remember you said this is a who hurt you moment, and a lot of people ask us the same thing. Donovan, who hurt you? Well, a lot of women, right? And because of my experiences, I teach men how to avoid the kinds of women who have the kinds of traits that the women who played me or hurt me, to stay away from those women. I would advise her to do the same thing. Yeah, she has been hurt. But the problem is, just like on the men's side, she's going after the wrong men. Women always go after the men they say they're not attracted to. So then when things go sideways, they want to come on here and talk about red flags and dating. Let's continue with this, but I'm going to pause it periodically. Here we go.
When they're really weird about their phone, like if they're constantly like turning their phone away from you, like damn, I wasn't even looking, but what are you hiding?
Okay, so because, again, this is on a first or second date. So because this person is not showing you their phone, all of a sudden now what is he hiding? Tallulah, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, this woman is talking about maybe 1 or 2 guys. These are the traits of the 1 or 2 guys that have alpha widowed her. A guy who turns his phone away from a woman is a guy who has other women in his phone and he doesn't want you to see that. Well, what else could he be hiding? That's translation for, are you smashing other girls? Do you agree or disagree?
I mean, you would know more than me because you're a guy, but yeah, absolutely, I would agree that he's probably turning it away from her because he is spinning other plates as such, and also he's probably a guy of status, and actually he might have like his business colleagues on there, and maybe his stocks or shares are flashing up on his phone.
Proprietary financial information, Tallulah, right? So maybe the reason why he's turning his phone away from you is because he doesn't want you seeing his accounts. He doesn't want you seeing how much Bitcoin he has. He doesn't want you seeing. Now, listen, it's possible. It's likely and possible that there are other girls in there. But guess what? You want to know why girls don't like that? Because then they have to compete. And this kind of condescending, arrogant girl is the kind of girl who does not feel that she has to compete because she's a blonde-haired white woman with blue eyes in America who thinks that she deserves the best of everything.
Two, when they're overly cocky, when they try to act.
When they're overly cocky. You know, this is interesting, Tallulah. It's funny how, and this is men and women alike. It's funny, and I remember I dated this one girl who, God, this was a while back. She used to talk about how intelligent I was. Then when we got into this text argument, and this was, oh my God, this was a long time ago, and I used a word to describe her. I think it might have been solipsistic. She says, "Oh, you and your big 5-syllable words." So all of a sudden, my intelligence was no longer a turn on. It was no longer a cute little idiosyncrasy. All of a sudden, now it's a negative. Overly arrogant. That is translation. That's the charming asshole. It's good at first, but when he decides not to pick her, now it's overly arrogant. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's point one for sure, 100%. But also, like, he probably just doesn't care. Like, she's probably, I don't know, questioning him about something or like trying to dig like further into his life. I don't know. And he's just going to have, if he's a high value guy, he's just going to have a persona of, to some women, being arrogant, but it's actually just that he's completely in his own frame and he just doesn't care and doesn't consider perhaps the thoughts and feelings of everyone else 24/7. He's not invested in what she thinks.
Of course. And women like her take offense to that. Oh my God, he's not worshiping. See, he's not worshiping the ground that I walk on. He's not throwing himself at her. Women take this quite literally as an insult. On the screen, I don't know if you can read it because it's actually kind of small. She says he tries acting, quote, better than everyone else. If you're a top 25% man, that doesn't make you better or worse than anyone else. But when you have a little bit of value, when you have a little bit of high status, yeah, you walk with a little swag, you walk with a little pep in your step. That's not trying to act better than everyone else. This is me exuding the confidence that I know that I've rightly earned. Then she says uses, quote, arrogant persona as a front. Tallulah, what this tells me is that either A, this woman has no respect for men in the first place and thinks that every arrogant man or every man who displays healthy confidence is just using it as a front, or B, she's used to picking dudes who uses arrogance as a front because they know they're really losers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right, let's continue.
Act like above everyone else and care so much about what other people think. It's because they're deeply insecure.
Oh, that's projection 101. That's projection 101. She's literally describing a woman, Tallulah. She's judgmental. Women try to act like they're better than everyone else. They use this arrogant persona as a front, and you called this. I actually said this woman is confident, and you said she's not confident at all. She is insecure. How did you pick up on that?
Because she's so angry about this guy.
Yeah.
She's upset about him, and she can't sit there and say, do you know what? I'm really upset about this guy. I really liked him. He was like this, this, and this, and I'm upset. She's not doing a Celia, right? Who actually said, still crying her eyes out. This girl's just getting angry and making out again that she's the better one and that she doesn't care when she does. She overly cares.
Oh, of course
she
she
wouldn't be making this video if she didn't care. She'd be at home doing something else or with a new partner.
100%. Tallulah, it's the bullseye again.
It will most likely gaslight you. So run. 3, when they get attached too quick and start calling you pet names really early on.
Okay, so on this list, she says sociopath-like tendencies, really hot and cold with their emotions, give 100% affection, them none. So she's switching back and forth here. Let's take this one step at a time. Sociopath-like tendencies. Tallulah, a lot of women and men, for that matter, we like to throw around words like, oh, he's narcissistic. Tallulah, I'm not a doctor. Okay, is someone who, if someone who appears to be full of himself, could they be narcissistic? Absolutely. But dude, narcissism is an extreme diagnosis. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is. I was speaking to a friend about this the other day. I mean, here in England, narcissist, sociopath, psychopath, it's all thrown away, like around so much.
Right,
like,
right.
Someone like Simon Levy, right? Yeah, he was a guy of status, all of those things, but he is no doubts a sociopath.
Yes.
Right. But
yes.
That's to that level. But no, it's just whenever a girl is hurt by a guy, if he cheats or if he just leaves her or isn't interested in her, all of a sudden he's a narcissist. A narcissist is, in therapy terms, is someone with borderline personality disorder. That's what it comes under.
I didn't know.
Yeah, it's borderline personality disorder. And it either develops, you're either born with it or it develops later in childhood. And it basically is where someone has the ability to completely switch. Well, their emotions are completely switched, either due to trauma or just they were born like that. And they are very, very dangerous people. Simon Levy's of the world. There are a lot of these guys in American prisons that we watch documentaries back here about them. You know, they've killed their mother and their sister.
Yes.
That's narcissist.
Yes.
That's sociopath. And yes, there are narcissists and sociopaths that are really billionaires that are at the top of the chain because they've gone through not caring about what other people think and feel.
Right.
But not even in a healthy level. They just literally have the inability to have a relationship with anyone or to even bond with anyone, even their own family, probably their own mother. So yeah, I think it's so extreme.
Yes.
And it's actually, I think in the UK we currently have 4%.
Okay.
4%. That's it. 4% of the UK are under that branch of narcissist and sociopath, and that's the high level. There are smaller rankings of narcissists, but it's not. Yeah, this is just crazy. And like where she's saying like getting attached really early on, like I said earlier, like by calling her like pet names, like people just do that anyway.
Yes,
it
of
doesn't
course.
mean that you're special. Like you said right, she's taken that as if she's special.
Yep.
And that's what I just hope women can take from this is, you know, to be armed with those facts.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you're special, and be careful. Be careful if you're in a relationship with this guy. Be careful if you're hearing those things. See if the actions match the words. But you know, it's all coming across as if she's really confident, as if she's really happy, but she's not. I'm telling you, she has been hurt. She is upset. And she is angry. You could see. You look at her body language just on pause, like. Argh.
And rather than her taking a step back and saying, "Okay, this guy played me. What can I do to make sure I don't get played by guys like him?" No. Instead, what she's trying to do here is she's trying to blame the man. Stay away from these guys. Say, no, sweetheart, you picked these guys. And also, as far as the average modern woman is concerned, a man who is a narcissist in their mind is a man who gets confidence from within, and it has nothing to do with her validation, right? He's confident in and of himself, and he doesn't need her to tell him he's exceptional. He knows he's exceptional, and so he has that inner confidence. And because he's not seeking her validation, well, he must be narcissist because he doesn't need anybody's validation. He gets all of it from himself. You're goddamn right we do.
Like babe or baby. These ones are the psychos.
Okay, these ones are the psychos. You know, the same could be said about women. It sounds like she's describing her alpha, Chad, that she alpha widowed, and there's a little bit of projection going on because my guess is that she's probably gotten attached early on to guys, and maybe she went psycho. Do you, agree or disagree?
She's being psycho now.
Yeah, man. Holy God.
Yeah.
Look at her eyes.
Yeah.
I once had a guy tell me he loved me 2 weeks into talking to me. And it was the most...
Okay, now she's right there. If a guy tells you he loves you 2 weeks in, then yeah, you don't need it. Same with women. If there's no, listen, and if a woman tells you she loves you 2 weeks in, that's definitely a red flag. So that's the one thing that I agree with here.
Psychotic thing ever. Run. Respectfully.
Respectfully. She said respectfully, that condescending look. Okay, let's go to the next video here. This one is actually pretty funny. Ant Tycoon with the $50 super chat. Holy smokes. Says, thank you, brother. Just thank you. Pick an asset you provide. Just thank you. I appreciate your generosity there, Ant Tycoon. I greatly appreciate that. Did you have something, Tallulah?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I guess I was hearing that. Okay, here's another one.
Let's talk about them. Number one, they are charming as hell, especially in the beginning. In psychology, there's a
They are charming as hell, especially in the beginning.
Term to describe this, and it's known as love bombing. Now, in summary, love bombing is basically when someone...
Okay, now Tallulah, I had a little bit of difficulty with this. They are crazy charming in the beginning, especially in the beginning, but then she calls this phenomenon love bombing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Love bombing is not charming. Charming is being engaging. It's being gregarious. It's kind of being the playful asshole. To me, that's charming. Love bombing is telling a girl you love her, 2 hours after meeting her, double and triple texting her. Hey, how are you? Blah, 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 blah. Just smothering her. Am I wrong about that? Or does love bombing have a lot to do with being charming?
Love bombing has nothing to do with being charming.
Okay, that's
being
what I
charming is acting like a gentleman, is knowing, just being like, if a guy's on a date with a girl or just with a girl, that when he's with her, it's actually called empathy, right? He can really tune in with her. And he listens to her. He's a gentleman around her. He has manners.
Yep.
That is charming.
There you go.
Love bombing is, sending you flowers after you've had 2 dates.
Yes.
It's doing a Simon Levy.
Oh my God.
Levy.
Simon, oh my God. You're beautiful. You're sweet. Kisses. Dr. B84 says, charming as hell equals they got game. Yeah, that's what this is. Any man who comes off who is described as charming by a girl, this means that you were sexually attracted to him because of his charming personality. In other words, he's got game. He understands how to handle women.
Someone shows you immense amounts of affection and attention in the beginning, saying you're the most amazing, incredible person on the planet, despite the fact that they just met you. Now, you may be an awesome and incredible person, but intimacy takes time to build. So view this as a...
No, it doesn't. Intimacy does not take time to build, because I have smashed plenty of girls on the first date. Listen, man, most of the time, and again, Tallulah, I want to get your thoughts on this. In my experience, just based on what I know about women, how can I put this? Women decide within a few seconds whether or not they are sexually attracted to you. Now, they could be wrong at first, be like, I'm not sexually attracted to this guy, but then as your interaction goes on, that can be changed. On the opposite side, a guy could be sexually attractive as hell, and then over the course of the next few minutes, he does or says something that is incongruent with his looks. So, what are your thoughts on women on a woman's sexual desires when they meet a person? Do they make these decisions? Can they be changed?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. The decision is pretty instant.
Okay.
However, it can be changed if he literally is charming, a gentleman, all of those things. That is attractive to women. Again, if he has status, all of those things attractive to women. If he's forward moving and staying in his own frame, that's attractive to women. So you could have a guy that she thinks, oh, okay, he's okay, he's all right, but I'm not really bothered. And then he starts behaving. It's all about the behavior in those ways. Then she's going to more likely be attracted to that more alpha behavior.
100%. By the way, JBlaze11 says, I'm watching Love is Blind. It's so true. Yes. I will be breaking down season 2 of Love is Blind. I will absolutely be doing this. I'm going to be starting that I'm going to be starting that tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to start with the live breakdowns of Love is Blind. Tallulah, I actually broke down the very first season of Love is Blind. That was the main part of my meteoric rise a couple years back, because I think I acquired maybe 60% of my total subscribership because of my Love is Blind breakdown. So that is definitely going to be my my flagship. So stay tuned for that.
Great.
Red flag. Second red flag. They tend to hog the conversation. It's all about them. Narcissists have a tendency to...
There she goes with the narcissist again. Let me ask you something, Tallulah. And I don't know if you know this, but how many like, there aren't that... I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of narcissists out there, but why do women call men... like, she's branding all men as though we're narcissists. No, like, not many of us are narcissists.
Because they just can't accept that, you know, he's just not into you.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, that's a burn. Jesus Christ. Here we go.
to discuss their accomplishments and achievements in a grandiose way. Now, they do this to feel superior and as a result to feel good about themselves. So if they are too busy talking...
Okay, the reason they do this is because they are trying to become sexually attractive to you. Now, what she is describing is actually correct. You don't want to lead with your wallet. In other words, you don't want your money and resources to be the main reason why she's attracted to you, at least not verbally. Listen, if you drive a Lamborghini and a woman notices you, yes, that is going to be the initial attraction. But you have to, and Rollo says this all the time, demonstrate, don't explicate. Allow a woman to organically find out things about you. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, is demonstrate. It's not to sit there and just talk about it, because that just comes across as more, I think, to a woman, more actually insecure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're trying to do everything to get that woman, but if you just don't care, and then and she just finds out on her own, that also has an element of surprise to it, which women are really, really attracted to and aroused by as well.
Okay. I loved your explanation. The reason why women use the word narcissist is because they cannot wrap their minds around the fact that he's just not into... Well, if he's not into me, he must be narcissist. Some women even use gay. Well, if he's not into me, he must be gay. Whatever helps you sleep at night, honey.
Talking about themselves to listen to you, take this as a red flag. Relationships are mutual exchanges, not a one-way street. So like and comment for red flag.
Okay, so that was part one. I'm not going to go to her part two. Let's take a look at the next video here. There we go. Okay, this is post first date red flags.
Or after a first date.
Here we go.
Number one, after the first date, and I don't mean at night when you text him that you got home safe. I mean the following day after that first date, if he does not show up with a text to see how you're doing.
We're going to go all the way through this and then back through it.
By noon, or if he's at work at some point when he's free, he's out. He's not that interested, and if he was really excited and had such a great time, he would still be thinking of you, and he would have texted you to, maybe recap like what he liked and possibly asking you out on a second date. Which leads me to red flag number 2. He does not secure a second date within 48 hours after the first date, preferably I would say the day after the first date, but we'll give him 2 days. He's not that interested, and if he's going to wait till the middle of the week to ask you for that weekend, he's waited too long and there's not a higher level of interest. At the same time, the reason he may be asking you midweek is because he's got a roster going and he's probably going out with other girls that take more priority, and he's waiting to hear back from them. At which point you wouldn't even want to be going out with someone that's not that excited about you and doesn't have high level of interest, because you would only want to go out with someone who shows high level interest to begin with. Moving on. Number 3. This one's crucial. If he leaves you hanging at any point for more than a day, he's out. He's super fired. He's definitely not that interested if he's leaving you hanging for a day or two. Nothing is really happening that would require him to not be able to send a text, especially if you asked him something or he asked you something and then didn't get back to you. No need to double text either to follow up or see if you're still going to see him. Don't do that. That is actually you showing that you're way more invested than you should be at this point. You shouldn't even be that invested in someone who's willing to leave you hanging for a couple days and then show up like nothing happened. And you also shouldn't even be chasing somebody that isn't pursuing you. Just stop doing that. It's so cringe. He'll follow up with you if he's still going to try and set a date. But at this point, I would say it's not happening and it's not that high level of interest. So I would just fire him and not go out with him again. Even worse if he doesn't confirm the time and place way more in advance. If he's showing up at the last minute, meaning the day before or day of, you're not going on that date. A guy who's super interested in you will make sure that you know way before, and he'll be super excited to plan that ahead of time. You have to let him chase you, so don't do the work for him. He knows what he has to do, and if he's not doing it, it's because he doesn't want to and he's not that interested. 3 red.
Okay, so we're going to go back through this and break this down piece by piece. What are your initial thoughts on this video, Tallulah?
That I don't think someone can have the highest level of interest in you after one date.
Right. Right.
That's the first thing that comes up.
I will also point out that she's coming at this from a mindset of abundance. She says if he shows up late, you are not going out on that date. Yes, you will if his value is high enough. See, what this woman, this is the mindset of a woman who believes that her inherent value is higher than the value of the men pursuing her. And this is pervasive in the minds of most modern women. And again, I want to make this clear, Tallulah. I am in no way, shape, or form saying that women are useless. Women, listen, women do provide us value outside of sex on some level. However, there are a lot more of these women than there are men like me. But she thinks it's the opposite. That's why she's advising girls, well, if he's going to be 5 or 10 minutes late, you're not going on that date. Sweetheart, there aren't going to be that many. You're not going to have that many opportunities with high value men. So advising women to stay away because he doesn't show up early on the date, to me, that is counterproductive.
Yeah, for sure. And if it's that, like, this is the thing she's describing again, someone that they all women say that they want, but they're not going to want this guy that's chasing them after the first date so quickly.
There you go. And you took the words right out of my mouth. And she's going to prove that throughout this video. Just listen.
Flags to look out for after a first date. Number 1, after the first date, and I don't mean at night when you text him that you got home safe. I mean the following day after that first date. If he does not show up with a text to see how you're doing by noon, or if he's at work at some point when he's free, he's out. He's not that interested.
See, here we go. He's out. He's not that interested. Unfortunately, Tallulah, a man who exhibits these red flags, these are the men women chase. If he doesn't, because here's the thing. If he texted her after he got home or before noon the next day, you know what they're going to say? Oh, he's love bombing me. He's too attached to me. Women don't know, women think they know what they want, but they don't know what they need. Because I can promise you that any man who's been out on a date with her and texted her before the next day ended up getting ghosted on because he showed too much thirst. So what she is describing here, Tallulah, are the kinds of men that women chase. Don't chase these kinds of men, even though women are chasing them.
Yeah.
And if he was really excited and had such a great time, he would still be thinking of you and he would have texted you to, maybe recap like what he liked. And
this is so funny. All of this communication. Oh, I really like this about our date. I really like that about our date. These are the guys that you got. These men are the men you put in the friend zone. Ladies, if you're watching, this is the woman giving you the kind of advice that she doesn't follow herself. Women would love to be able to follow this advice. They really would. But again, fourth wave feminism and everything that's happened before and now, during and after it, these kinds of things have made men like this much more attractive. This is why women chase these men, even though they tell most women don't chase them. What do you got?
Absolutely. Just agree with you.
Okay. All right. Very good.
And possibly asking you out on a second date.
Unbelievable.
Which leads me to red flag number 2.
So basically, if he's not all over her setting up a first date, then you're setting up a second date, then you're out. She wants men to act thirsty, Tallulah. She wants men to act thirsty. She tells men, hey, if you're not acting thirsty, this is a red flag. But again, she chases men that do the opposite of this.
He does not secure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I said that's right, exactly. And this is the thing, she thinks it's because all the alpha guys, she wishes they were doing this and they're not. But then the second that like a guy comes along and shows this amount of interest too soon, she wouldn't be interested. She'd go, oh, I don't know, I'm just not that interested. And she can't, she can't sit there and just understand the fact. And yeah, it's triggering and it does hurt, but actually he's not that into me. Like, that's all she needs to accept in this situation. Because this again is another, who hurt you, right?
Yep. This again is another who hurt you. This again is another attractive woman who does not want to compete. Okay, so look, so he didn't text you when he got home. Yeah, he might be texting other girls. So what are you going to do about it? Devin knew I was seeing other girls when I dated her. But instead of her getting butthurt about it, being like, why are you seeing the other girls? Why can't we be exclusive? You know what Devin did? Devin competed. She competed. She actively tried to lock me down, and she fucking won. This woman now lives with me. All the other bimbos I was smashing on the side who are waiting for me to double text and all this other kind of stuff, okay, they are younger and some more attractive than Dev, but guess what? She's the one that got the prize. She now lives with me. Ladies, you have to compete. And if you read your screen, it says if he doesn't lock down a second date within 2 days, this equals low interest. You could be right. So what do you need to do as a woman? Let's say that, and here's the thing, Tallulah, the reason why these men show low interest is because maybe you're not showing interest. If I take a girl out, Tallulah, and we have what I think is a good time, and I don't hear from her later that night, she's waiting for me to say, I don't hear from her the next day, I'm assuming that there's low interest. So what this woman wants me to do as a high, and my inherent value is already higher than hers to begin with. You expect me to pursue you even though I have more options than you do? No. If you really like the guy, ladies, and Devin said this on Fresh Fit the other day, show him. Say, hey, look, I like you. I want to spend more time with you, rather than waiting back and trying to keep cool and handling this like a man. Because the reason why he's showing low interest is because you're showing no interest. How's my aim on that one?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is the thing. I've been in that position many times where I have been competing for someone. Right. And it is really like, again, it's, I always say this, but I just don't get it why you wouldn't try and compete. It seems that the more younger that the girls are getting now, I'm noticing this girls in their 20s and early 30s, they actually just don't think that they need to do that. I think perhaps in me and Devin's era as such, we understood you have to compete.
Yes.
And it's all about what can you offer this guy? What is it that the other girls are not offering that you are? And this is why a lot of guys, a lot of high value guys, I mean, a lot of them, yes, they are with younger women, but there are high value guys out there that are with women their age and they could get younger women, but they don't, because they don't want to deal with this behavior of I want, give me, and they don't get anything back. Women need to find a way of how can you improve his life more? How can you assist him? I do videos on this all the time about competing for high value men and what you need to do to win.
The problem with women like this is that rather than, just like you said, asking yourself, how can I show him that I like him? How can I differentiate myself from all of the other girls that he is seeing? Presumably, they're not asking themselves this. What they're doing is, well, if he doesn't get back with me in a certain amount of time, then he's not interested. How would you know you're not showing interest? Again, this woman has to understand that there are more of her than there are the kinds of men she's looking for. I think if every woman understood this, Tallulah, if every woman got the memo, hey, there are only so many of the men that you want to go around. So when she says, hey, if he doesn't text back the next day or blah, 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 then you should ghost him. Sweetheart, you're not going to get that many opportunities. It's incredible. It's incredible that women still don't understand that there aren't enough of these guys to go around. That's why, and for whatever reason, they feel like they don't have to compete. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
It's crazy. It's literally crazy. I really don't get that at all.
It's ridiculous.
with what Devon did, I identify with more because that's what I've done.
Yes.
I've done it on occasion. There was a situation in my life where, you know, I was competing for a long time for this particular guy, you know, but I didn't. Of course, like a lot of the time I was upset, you know, why am I competing? But I didn't ever think consciously, like, why do I have to compete? You know, what I deserve more, because he was so high value that I was just doing everything to win against the other people that were in his life.
There you go.
Everything I could.
Competition brings out the best in everybody, Tallulah, and this is men and women alike. Now, the difference is that when men compete for women, women are on their worst behavior, and we can see that out in the real world. When women compete for men, they are on their best behavior. You can just tell the difference between the Bachelor and the Bachelorette. On The Bachelor, women are there. Well, of course, in front of him, they're kind, they're demure, they're understanding, they're submissive, they're a soft place to lay their head. But when the Bachelorette has all these men to choose from, dude, she's swapping spit with everybody, she's straddling everybody, she's being crass because men are competing for her. Competition brings the best out of women.
Yes.
A second date within 48 hours after the first date, preferably I would say the day after the first date, but we'll give him 2 days. He's not that interested, and if he's going to wait till the middle of the week to ask you for that weekend, he's waited too long and there's not a higher level of interest. At the same
He's waited too long. Again, she's assuming that he does not have a high level of interest. He may have been interested in her, but because he is entertaining other women, he knows that he does not have to qualify himself to you. Again, what women like her fail to realize is that there's not an abundance of the kinds of men she wants. And so these ridiculous parameters, like she is saying to drop these men for the dumb, well, if he doesn't preferably text back tomorrow, but if he doesn't set up another date within 48 hours, like there are all these specifications, yet she has no idea, she does not understand that there are not enough of these guys to go around. This is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if she was born in, say, the 50s or any time before then, she would have gone home to her mother or the rest of her family or her friends, and they would have said, okay, right, so what are you going to do? Right, we need to get your corset tighter, or, you know, let's you know, show off your cooking abilities. You know, it's like people that have arranged marriages, right? Like they have it written, these guys have it written in paper that they want these women who are cooking, who are cleaning, that are well educated, that know how to cater for him and his life. That is what it is. And these other women just aren't getting it. They just don't get it.
It's incredible. Hellfong on the Sharp Stream site says, clearly this woman believes that she is the price. Again, I want to make this clear. I'm not saying that this woman is worth less. She happens to be very attractive. My guess is that she's probably 26, maybe 27 years old. But what she and women like her, what they have to understand, there are not enough of the men you want to go around. They're treating these men like they just grow on trees. Well, if he doesn't text back in 48 hours, then forget it. Really? So if you went out on a date with Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans and he doesn't text back within 48 hours, you're just going to drop him? Of course not. Which means that this is almost entirely tied to value.
At the same time, the reason he may be asking you midweek is because he's got a roster going and he's probably going out with other girls that take more priority and he's waiting to hear back from them. At which point you wouldn't even want to be going out with someone that's not that excited about you and doesn't have high.
This is counterproductive. Once again, she is telling women, okay, he's probably dating other girls. You don't want to pay attention. Sweetheart, women don't want men that other women don't want. It's called pre-selection. And so what she is saying, and now she's assuming his pre-selection, okay, so other women want him and you're probably not the priority. Here's why she's not the priority, Tallulah, is because she's not showing interest. Ladies, you got to be proactive when going after the guys you want. You can't just sit back and wait for them to pursue you because number one, they're higher value than you. And number two, when they pursue you, you lose respect. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. I disagree with you.
Unbelievable. If he doesn't lock down a second date within 2 days, low interest. This is,
No, like,
if he has a roster of women, guys, ladies, if he has a roster, then do what you need to do to differentiate yourself. You have to compete. Competing for a man doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you thirsty. It makes you a woman. Devin knew and understood that she had to compete. She competed and she won. Ladies, there is no shame in competing.
yeah, that's right. Can I just comment on that?
Yeah, go ahead. You got it.
There is absolutely no shame in competing. It is a really fulfilling thing for us women to do. Actually, it makes us feel really good when we're doing it. But there is also an element of, it depends who you're competing for, because there may be a guy in a woman's life where if you can compete and compete and compete, but he just doesn't want it.
There you go.
It's not all the time that they're kind of guys that are a bit broken, but there are guys out there that literally have many women that absolutely love them.
Yes.
But they cannot accept that love, and they will keep chasing a woman that doesn't want them, or they will keep chasing other things. I don't know, some girl on OnlyFans or whatever. But there are guys out there that might not want it.
I think what this strategy is doing, it's almost preemptively circumventing rejection, right? She doesn't want to shoot her shot because she doesn't want to feel rejected. Sweetheart, he took you out on a date. He's interested. And this is where so many women go wrong, Tallulah. If he doesn't lock down a second date within 2 days, this equals low interest. Ladies, it's not up to us to pursue you. Listen, the initial meetup, yes, I'm going to pursue you. Hey, you seem cool. Let's go out, blah, 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 blah. But after that first date, I don't have to pursue you. I have other options. I have other women. And you want to know the women I give the most priority to? The women who give the most priority to me. The woman who texts me the most, the woman who calls me the most, the woman who shows me that I'm the priority. So what she is saying is, she's like, women, treat these men like they're not a priority, but expect him to treat you like a priority. And if he doesn't, then he's out. This is a failing strategy all the way around.
Yes.
Because you would only want to go out with someone who shows high level interest to begin with. Moving on.
High level interest equals thirst.
Yeah.
That's it.
You won't be interested in him if he was
there you go.
Number 3. This one's crucial. If he leaves you hanging at any point for more than a day, he's out. He's super fired. He's definitely not that interested if he's leaving you hanging for a day or two. Nothing is really happening that would require him to not be able to send a text, especially if you asked him something or he asked you something and then didn't get back to you. No need to double text either to follow up or see if you're still going to see him. Don't do that. That is actually you showing that you're way more invested than you should be at this point.
Oh, how about that? Oh, how about that? So ignore, so put him on the back burner and ignore him. But the minute he does the same, to see if he shows interest, but the minute he does the same to you, now he's out. Again, this woman she clearly does not understand the concept of supply and demand. She is coming from a place of abundance. There are not that many high value men out there, or the men that you want, relative to all of the other kinds of men. So then she just said, well, if you're double texting, that means you're a little bit more invested than you need to be. No, men do not invest in women who are not invested in them. It is not on us to make that initial investment. Again, there are more of her than there are of me. What are your thoughts? This is incredible. I can't believe this. This is nuts.
Yeah, I mean, high value guys don't, if you're not showing interest, they are just going to move on. Again, back to competing, you've got to get in there. You've got to strike while the iron's hot, right?
Yes.
And you have to do things that are out of the blue for him, or, you need to show interest. It doesn't mean, I don't know, acting like a guy and, doing things that, guys would do to a woman, but, just do more feminine duties.
Yes. Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. This is the thing. A lot of these younger girls in their 20s, they're not understanding that, doing these things will actually make them feel really, really good. If they really like a guy, doing these things for them will make them feel good.
Yes.
Instead of being angry on TikTok.
Tallulah with the mic drop. John, John God with the $2 super chat says, Donovan, fight the good fight, Sharp. I appreciate that very much. JBlaze11, $5 says, I met a woman who was with a narcissist. She gained 30 pounds from stress to she gained 30 pounds from stress to please him. These women have no idea the hold these guys have on them. Yeah, that is very, very true. Jay Sebastian with 10 California dollars says this lady is regimenting a man's behavior with the precision of a train conductor's watch. But when it comes to them, we hear about energy, vibes, and vague terms that mean little to anyone but them. Wow. Wow, that makes all the sense in the world. Isaac Landis says, this channel has improved me as a man. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Derek with the $5 super chat says, this is why aliens won't talk to us. Yeah, I agree. Let's continue.
You shouldn't
Ice Dragon Kid on the YouTube site says too many games. Like, this is too much. This is just too much. This is why girls are single, because they're into playing these games.
even be that invested in someone who's willing to leave you hanging for a couple days and then show up like nothing happened. And you also shouldn't even be chasing somebody that isn't pursuing you. Just stop doing that. It's so cringe. He'll follow up with you if he's still going to try and set a date. But at this point, I would say it's not happening. And it's...
She said he'll follow up with you. Sweetheart.
You know what it reminds... Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
It just reminds me of something. Like, hearing this is like... She's a stroppy teenager.
Yeah.
Talking about her 3-year-old kid brother or something.
Oh, wow. Oh,
She's
I like
talking
that.
about him as if he's a child, a baby or a child or a very young child, and she's just acting like a stroppy teenager. I want me, give me, I self me. And then the way she speaks about him, if he's not doing this, if he's not doing that, it's almost like she could easily say, he has 3 seconds, 3, 2, 1, and all that kind of thing, when she's actually the child, not him.
Dude, I totally agree. Never once, her or the other 2 videos, never once did they say, hey, in order to get a guy's attention, you should proactively do X, Y, or Z. No, they're saying if he doesn't do this, just like you said, me, I, myself, blah, 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 blah. These are the kinds of women who end up in their 30s and 40s and sometimes late 50s who are perpetually single because they don't realize that the market is not set up for girls like them. Dre Raven on the Sharp Stream side, very good comment. He says, what kills me, and maybe I'm just old, but these women seem to think we have nothing better to do than to be on standby to give them validation and all freaking day. My last girlfriend would text me 40 times a day while I was at work. She got mad when I reminded her that my job paid me to work, not to text her. It ended less than a week after that. Right. But here's the thing, Dre Raven, if you were texting her as much as she texted you, she would say, well, he's just boring and he's just too available, blah, 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 blah. Women never know what the hell they want, man. It's incredible. Hellfunk says this is circular logic, makes sense to her. Looks like the diary of Madman to us. Yeah, right. This is crazy.
Not that high level of interest, so I would just fire him and not go out with him again. Even worse if he doesn't.
I would just fire him. Like, I know that this is a figure of speech, but to imply linguistically that being with her is a job, to me, that's already a warning sign. Just go ahead and fire him, bitch. I'm not, I didn't put in no application. You're not paying me to be with you. This woman is acting like it is a man's job to make her feel good. Is that what you're getting, or am I reading too much into this?
No, I'm reading, yeah. I fire him. That is just the most awful thing to say, isn't it?
Ay. That's a black woman thing, because black women be like, you fired. Let's continue.
Doesn't confirm the time and place way more in advance. If he's showing up at the last minute, meaning the day before or day of, you're not going on that date. A guy who's super interested in you will make sure that you know way before, and he'll be super excited to plan that ahead of time. You have to let him chase you, so don't do the work for him. He knows what he has to do, and if he's not doing it, it's because he doesn't want to and he's not that interested.
Let him chase you. Let him do what he has to do. Again, this is a woman placing her value above his. okay? She believes that her value is higher than she wants a higher value guy, but then she wants to treat him like his value is lower than hers. Am I wrong about this? Or, I mean,
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. What's interesting is what she said about like the texting is you're not going on that date if he texts you out of the blue. Yes, she will be. If the guy who is like the alpha guy, or what you guys in America call the chads, right? If that guy texts her and says, come over in a couple of hours, she's going to go running. If a guy's planning a date and spending all his resources and super, super excited about it, she's not going to want that guy.
Yeah, right. If men followed the advice of the women they give us about them, no one would be successful in relationships. Damian Hanma on the Sharp Stream side says, reminds me of my boss. He had to tell his wife to shut up because instead of letting us finish cleaning so he could get home, she would call and ask him when he would be home instead. Dude, that's that circular logic. Ay, ay, ay.
3 red flags to look out for after a first date.
Okay, so that's it for that one. Let us watch the last one. And let me go here. This one is super funny. This one is really funny. This chick is out of control. Here we go.
I've been on like 500 million bazillion first dates, and
I've been on 500 million bazillion first dates. Oh boy, so she's a serial dater.
I really want to share my first date red flags because I have seen it all, and I just don't want my beautiful babies out there to waste their time on these pathetic men when there's other good ones out there. Okay,
the first thing I'm picking up is the fact that she is extremely immature. Like, she's probably in her 20s. She acts like she's 14 years old.
Okay, see, I didn't pick up on that. I just picked up on she is so angry right now and upset.
Here comes more anger. Here we go.
Red flag is if he tries to touch you other than the greeting and goodbye hug. That man should not need to touch you on the first date, period.
Translation. That man should not need to touch you on the first date, period, if he is unattractive. So what she just did here, Tallulah, is she just gave herself away as one of these women who goes out on first dates with men to get fed. If you're going out on a date with a man you're actually sexually attracted to, why is it a crime for him to touch you? Oh, I know, because you're not attracted to him. He's there to feed you, not smash you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. She's just using him for a date and then is being entitled as well that he can't, like, you know, just use what you guys do is like the touch test and things like that. Yeah, I mean, she doesn't exactly look thin, does she? She looks like
she does not.
Panned up by lots of people.
She's the kind of woman who the only reason she's not fat is because she's young, right?
Yeah.
There you go. She's probably in her late 20s, probably
really?
27,
I thought she'd be like 22, 23.
Oh wow, you know what? You're probably right. And for her to be that puffy at this age, when she turns 30, it's over. Holy moly! Ay ay ay.
That means that there's only one thing on his mind, and he should be scared of you. Like, he needs to not touch you on the first date. 2, the men are going to get so mad at this one. I already know. I don't care. Get off my page. He needs to pay for the entire bill. Yes, okay, you can split the bill and further on in the relationship.
Okay, now, I actually agree with her on this. When you take a woman out, you pay. Just don't take her out to dinner before you know something is serious. I always tell guys, the first date should always be a low investment date. Take her out for a couple of drinks, maybe a cup of coffee, or feed the ducks like Steve the Dean says. And if you like her, if you still like her, then maybe you can advance it. But I agree, guys should definitely pay on the first date, but that doesn't mean that we need to buy a 7-course meal.
No, and what I've noticed again is just like she is. It contradicts what she's first said, because she's first said, right, he's not allowed to touch you, he's not allowed to do any of that, but you're willing to obviously take the date. And yes, it is really important that men pay for a date. It is really unattractive if men do not pay for the date, but it's more attractive if it's low investment.
There you go.
And that it's a couple of drinks, or it's coffee, or if it's summer, go for a nice walk. That's always a good date as well. And you know, it's but she's just said it, he can't touch you. Who does he think he is? but then she's like, he has to pay
for the date.
That's
There
like
you go.
crazy, right?
There you go. He's not entitled, like I'm entitled to his resources, but he's not entitled to, nobody's entitled to anything. If you don't want the guy to touch you on the first date, that's fine. But what she's telling us is that she's doing this in bad faith. If you're sexually attracted to a guy, you don't mind him. And I'm not talking about groping. We're just talking about or in old school PUA term, just, little kino, touching her on her shoulder, her leg, behind her ear, things of that nature. But if this girl does not want a man to touch her, but then she wants him to turn around and pay for the date, well, she's talking about a foodie call.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man.
Relationship, but the first date, he needs to be paying for 100% of the bill. Don't care what you say. Number 3, if you're finding yourself having to overcompensate and talk a lot because he's not talking enough, number 1, either he's not interested in you and he wants the date to end, or number 2, he just doesn't know how to hold a conversation.
Or number 3, maybe he doesn't like you.
Yeah.
So women like her automatically assume that if a guy is not into her, it's his problem. He doesn't know how to hold a conversation and blah, blah, blah. Did it ever occur to you that not every guy you go out with is going to like you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, if a guy likes you, he'll hold a conversation. Again, it's that whole charming thing. He'll just be charming and a gent if he likes you.
Dr. B, Dr. B84 says, I'm waiting for her to say, you feel me. Chat, is this possibly a yeah, I think I'm picking up the Knight Rider vibe with this girl. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you think this girl has taken a walk on the dark side. And after you do that, don't just put a 1, put the reason why you think she is a yeah. I don't want to just hear, yeah, she definitely no, I want to know why. I think this is going to be good. All right, let's continue.
Grown man needs to know how to hold a conversation. Also, if he's talking about himself the whole time and he's not asking you questions about yourself, leave. He does not care about you. He just wants to hear the sound of his own voice. This will maybe common sense, but if they bring up their ex to any extent, drop him. Do not talk to him again because he is not over her. Last one, if he says you're difficult in any way, I literally went on a date and I ordered the most expensive thing and he was like, oh, you're hard to please. Baby, if you're broke, just say that.
So this woman on a first date, there you go. So this woman on a first date just gave us the example. If I order the most expensive thing on the menu, and the guy says, well, man, you're hard to please, she reads that as someone who is broke. This is why the dating market is a shit show. What are you doing ordering the most expensive thing? So she can order the most expensive thing on the menu. She can order the most expensive thing on the menu, but he's not allowed to touch her.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That just doesn't make any sense. But it's also not, it wouldn't matter if you were out with a billionaire, right? Even if you're a woman, you're dating a billionaire or a millionaire, it is not etiquette or manners to choose the most expensive thing.
What are you doing
on the menu? It's I don't know, even if we were out with you and Dev, right? And we're all out just having some dinner and you said, oh guys, don't worry, I've got this tonight.
Yes.
I would make a conscious effort because someone else is paying for my meal. Right. It's manners. Right. I might not order the cheapest thing, but I most certainly am going to scale it in a bit to the medium thing. That is just what you do.
Dude, this shows disrespect. Say again.
Disrespect.
Oh my God, disrespect and entitlement. This shows me that she doesn't really view men as people. She views us as really kind of we are a commodity, but you can't, if you expect a guy to treat you a certain way, you're gonna have to be a certain way. Let's finish this out.
I've been on 500 million bazillion.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna watch this video with the sound down, and we're gonna see if she's giving off Knight Rider vibes. Here we go. Okay, so here she goes. Oh, yeah. Yup. Dude, the fingernails. Yep, the head movement. She's doing her. Oh yeah. This girl definitely has Knight Rider vibes. Okay, well that was fairly easy. You know, it's funny, Tallulah. I always tell guys, hey man, if you wanna be really good at reading body language, watch something with the sound down or the sound off. And you can really pinpoint where people are in terms of where their head is at. Have you ever noticed that, or is that something that you've never done before?
I do it all the time whenever I'm watching, especially the news with politics. So we have our announcements that come from Boris Johnson and everyone in the political movement. And what I usually do is I just press mute just for like 10 seconds while he's like midway through, just to look at the bad body language. Body language is a huge indicator.
I would agree.
Like, I'm actually doing it right now because because the thing is that when I'm most comfortable right now where I'm sat, if I have my arms here,
right,
but I'm not going to, because you regain more trust if your hands are out.
Well, that is something that I did, but you know what? It's funny. I knew that, but I didn't know that I knew it until you just said it. People who, especially a woman, if she has her hands under the table, you're naturally more trustworthy if I can see your hands. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Tallulah dropping next level game on us here. Looks like you guys definitely have voted that she's a Knight Rider. Very good. Basil Denson, $2, says hand movements and nails, absolutely. Camaro Red, $5, says head movement, hand movements, facial expressions. Her whole energy says Knight Rider. Oh, boy. Tallulah, let me get your final thoughts on the videos that we watched in terms of first date red flags.
Yeah, I think just a message for if there's any ladies watching this really is that, you know, it's not always about how much he can offer. Like all the videos that we've watched today, what they're demanding isn't actually what they want.
Right.
It's delusional. They're just speaking delusion. I don't even think they're aware it's not what they want. What they do want is a guy that they can actually compete for. But what these girls, I think, in their 20s on, you know, the message has been so strong in the media, oh, be strong and independent and all these things. You don't have to do anything. But they will get so much more joy out of competing for this man in whatever way that is. And that's usually enhancing his life and being an asset to him.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and think, oh, I'm just going to sit here and be a girl, or I'm just going to sit here and be pretty, because those things do not last.
Right.
They're fine when you're in your early 20s, but looks fade.
Yes, they do. Talk to the and this is actually just thrown. I just thought of another question. Talk to the women who are watching about the difference between being selfish in a relationship and being selfless, because most women, whether they admit it or not, they derive much more pleasure. From taking care of a man, being an asset to him. Talk about the difference. Talk about some of the differences and why women should sort of embrace that a little bit more.
Yeah, because they will get so much more joy from it and self-fulfillment of being selfless in that relationship. So it's thinking out the box again. You know, Dev did this with you.
Yep.
You know, thinking out the box, tailor it to that guy. You know, it's not just about, you know, cooking and cleaning and all these things. How can you make his life better? How can you stand out to the other women? You will get so much more from when he comes home and the lights are on, the house is warm. Yeah. If you have children, the kids know their dad is coming home, and they know, you know, look, dad's coming home. We need to be respectful of dad. That he doesn't come home to mess, chaos, that the house isn't messy, that they just want to come home to peace and quiet. And just every man is different with his own purpose, right? And it's just tailor it to that, and you will get so much more joy and fulfillment from that than sitting there demanding. He doesn't want to come home to that, and he will eventually leave you.
Yep, that's exactly right. Tallulah, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at my new YouTube channel.
Yes.
The Feminine Truth. That's The Feminine Truth. Please go over. I talk about how women do compete for men and what they can do to enhance a man's life, how they compete for the alpha. There's also a recent success story. I've just uploaded a video of an email I got from a lady, how she actually decided to delete Instagram and she bagged the man of her dreams because of that. And you can also catch me on Twitter at Feminine Truths. That's Feminine Truths. And you can catch me on the new Instagram, which is The Feminine Truth, all one word.
Perfect. Let's do a quick let me do a quick real-time check. Let me see where we are as far as, because we got to get her, we are going to get her to 1,000 subscribers. So let me look this up here. The Feminine Truth. We do this in real time for you guys. Very good. She is at 824 subscribers, guys. She is only 176 subscribers away from getting 1,000 subscribers. So let's help her out. Let's get her to 1,000 subscribers and get her and get the show on the road. Tallulah, as always, brilliant breakdown. Thank you very much for making time for us today, and my apologies for being just a little bit late.
No problem at all. Thank you so much for having me. It's always an honor and it's been great.
Thank you so much. That is going to do it for this edition of Tea with Tallulah. We're going to be on next Wednesday. So instead of Tuesday next week, we're going to be on next Wednesday, February 23rd. That's going to be at 10 o'clock a.m. I'm sorry, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 2:30 GMT British time. So be sure we're moving next week's show back by one day. Also, I am starting Season 2 of the Love is Blind breakdowns tomorrow. I'll come up with a time and a place for that. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.